Molly, this is Alyssa, and this is Whitney, and we're here to discuss the current abstinence program that is happening in our schools and our current viewpoints on it. So let's start with you, Alyssa. What do you think about it?
Well, pretty much, I can agree to disagree on some of the points that they have. The structure of their teaching techniques is off. It's insufficient, and when you're taking up an educational process, if you're not going to get down to specifics and put the good and the bad together, kids are just going to go off and do whatever they want to do.
And the fact that it's just, the fact that they're actually making obscurities of these statistics, especially with condom usage. They like to say, condoms have a 20% success rate, and they're not, they're completely making a sweeping generalization fallacy. I mean, they're not even talking about the different brands of condoms. I mean, you could be talking about the best. You could be talking about the best kind of condom there, or you could be talking about, the cheapest kind of drugstore condom or whatever. I mean,
like, it's one thing to talk about drugs and say you shouldn't do this and blah blah blah. They give you more information on drugs than they do on sex.
Yeah, and I mean, studies have consistently shown that societies with inclusive sex education have lower rates of STDs in the teenage demographic and lower rates of teenage pregnancy. And it just really disappoints me that my family's tax dollars and your family's tax dollars are going to this incredibly insufficient program.
Well, the fact of the matter is, when we get into these classes, just like I went through it, my sister went through it. My sister, because she's always grown up with these tactics and the way that they're teaching it, when all they're doing is they'll show you having a kid, and now kids these days are looking at that and they think it's gross to have a kid. They think it's gross to sit there and think about condoms. They think it's gross to do all this shit because excuse my language, sorry. And it's because no one's sitting there and giving them the confidence to know exactly what they're doing with their lives. And
exactly.
If you're going to tell them something, you have to tell them both sides of it, the good and the bad. And if you look at that, it's like, yeah, sex is good. Here are your consequences. Now, what decision are you going to make? Because at some point, the kids of this generation have to grow up.
Exactly. And they're just imposing all of these opinions on them. I mean, it's just so opinionated. Like, we're just going to push all the scary demographics forward, and we're not going to tell you anything about sex as reality.
People are all worried about religion and everything and how they're worried about that, and yet they can't sit there and take the time to realize how religion is also impacting how they're teaching here, and also how friggin' people are looking at drugs more than they are of teen pregnancy safety, and they're complying to early birth rates. They're complying to overpopulation. They're complying to people wanting to outright just ban the law. Because it's pointless.
I know.
You have no point.
And the sad thing is, I mean, how are these kids going to feel about themselves? That's what really makes me sad.
Here's the scores.
Oh,